All right, great. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Chaos Weekly Community Call. I am Mary Blessing. I'm taking over this right today. And for every other person, I am hosting the call today. And yeah, so to get things started, let me paste that again in the chat. The meeting minutes. Uh, dun, 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 dun. For people just joining. Okay. All right. So please add your name and let us know what your favorite hobby is. Okay. All right. So we don't have much in the agenda today. I think we have a bunch of reminders, which is really good. So it's going to be a pretty quick meeting. Um, so yeah, so the first thing here is um big shout out to the Sloan Foundation for providing us with a grant for an extra year. So yeah, shout out to them and to everyone who made that happen. Yeah, we're really grateful. And the next is that yeah, I know a lot of people have been very much interested about that particular grant. But I'm sure that there's going to be a much more solid updates on that, like the plans and the flow of things moving forward. So yeah, just stick around in the community and you get more info on that very soon. Um, yeah, I don't know if people have questions before we move on. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the next thing is Dawn, who used to sit on the data science working group as the director is stepping down, but still will be in the on the governing board and also co-chairing the OSPO and funding impact working group. So yeah, thank you, Don. I'm particularly appreciative of the work that you have done in the chaos community, and yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna take a couple of months off and then I'll be back.
Yeah, very much needed break. Right. Okay. So there is one more thing that is not in on the agenda at the moment, but I believe would be really nice to like bring up, which is the recent conversations going on in the community. I bet a lot of us have quite some questions or want to know what's really happening. So I am going to allow someone from the board, Ruth, on the call
Yeah, yeah.
to help address that. Hi, Ruth. It's good to see you.
Hi. Hi everyone. Um, yeah, thank you, Mary Blessing. And first, like I shared on the general channel, I apologize that everyone had to, witness that. And also we're trying to resolve the situation. If you have any questions that you might want to ask or any clarifications, you can you know send myself or Elizabeth a message. I really don't know what to say right now because just been a it's been an interesting couple of days, and we do not, like I shared, that we do not, as chaos community, we not condone like that behavior because it was very unacceptable. So we're trying to work things through, and to keep the community updated, via the general channel, how things go on. Right now, the project is not back to chaos or anything yet. Nothing has been done, but we're speaking with the Linux Foundation and trying to, and the board is also kind of meeting we're being in communications to sort this out. So I will keep everybody updated. um and I think one of the major things again was also the data breach. I think a lot of people got the emails from on Sunday. So we're also working through to find the proper way to address that data breach, because I can understand that there's no consent for sending emails like that, and we don't have like an active mailing list. So we're also trying to work through that. But if anyone has any questions, and I think people have also been, I think I saw a message on the general channel today about the governance risks of having like nobody was the multi-project owners on GitHub wasn't notified from this. So I think if there are any questions or suggestions or anything, feel free to drop it, share with me personally or Elizabeth or even the board. So yeah, generally I apologize for um I had to all witness that, and we are on top of the situation. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Um, thank you. Thank you so much, Rose, for really talking about that. Um, yeah, so as Rose has mentioned, if people have more specific questions, feel free to write to her or Elizabeth, and they'll be very much happy to answer your questions while the board continues to like work around this particular situation. I think I have stopped sharing. Sorry, I was kicked out briefly. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, great. Um, all right. Does anyone have any questions now? Before we move on to the many reminders we have. Yeah, okay. All right. Great. No questions then. Awesome. All right. So for the reminders, the first is the chaos board elections. They are coming, and yeah, if you wanted to learn more about the mechanics around that, there is a documentation here for you that the election team has put together, and also a FAQs. So please do well to like read through them, so like you understand what the process would entail. And yeah, it's also important to know that if you are making contributions that you do not have to send PR for, you would have to fill out your contributions in the community contributions issue template here, or you could just put that in directly in the repository here as well, the MD file, right? Yeah, I think we were troubleshooting this before, but I think that is currently sorted out. So yeah, just go ahead and use the issue template, right, for that. Then yes, there's also a dedicated Slack channel. You can also send in your questions there, and they will be answered. So yeah, this is a tool we are using, Electo. I do not know much about it, but Elizabeth, would you want to go through that one more time for probably folks who haven't been joining this call in a while, just so that they understand what that tool is
Yeah.
and how it works? Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
no worries. So Electo is a tool. You can go to that link and see, and we'll have our own subdomain. So I think it's something like chaos.electo or chaoselections.electo.dev, something like that, when it's set up. And then you'll need to log in with a GitHub account. So you have to have a GitHub account. If you don't have a GitHub account, I I need to double check if there's a way for us to add you in. I need to double check that. But yes, you will need a GitHub account. Is that's how you will log into the system, and that's how it will keep track of who is eligible to vote and who is not. So you have to have a GitHub account, but you also have to have been an active contributor in the last 6 months. And then like we're pulling that data from GitHub. So that's why it's so important if you are contributing to chaos in other ways that you make sure your name is in that file, that PR has been set, because that's where we'll get that information. And then, so you'll log in with your GitHub account. You'll see a list of candidates. You'll see a little bit of information about the election, and you'll be able to rank the candidates in your preference. So, yeah. And then the back end Electo will figure out, and there's a link in the FAQ, I believe, to the algorithm that it uses to determine who the winners are. And I believe there are 6 seats, if I'm remembering correctly, up for election, or up for, yeah, that up to be filled, I guess is a better way to say it. And if you are interested in nominating yourself, we will have instructions for you. Essentially, you'll need to fill out a markdown file and submit that, and it'll have your name and then your contributions to chaos. You can kind of explain to people. They'll be able to see that in case they're not familiar with your name or who you are. They'll be able to see your kind of self promotion, if you will, in the Electo. So yeah, so we will have instructions how to do that, but essentially it's filling out a simple markdown file and submitting that. You can also nominate someone else, but you should really get their consent first before you do that. Would be great if you did that. But yeah, that is a possibility if you would like to nominate someone else. Yeah, so if you go to we're basing our election off of the K-Native elections. So we do have someone from that community that is also an election officer. Myself and Emma Irwin are the other two. So we have 3 election officers, and we're the ones that are kind of managing this process and making sure that everything works smoothly for you all and be there to answer any questions. So we are like neutral parties in everything, and we're just here to make sure it goes smoothly. And since this is the first time for all of us, yeah. So that's our role as elections officers. I think that's it. What other questions do we have? I see one. Is there a date yet?
Yeah, yeah.
That is a great question. I need to go back and look at the timeline. We might be a little behind, but I will double check that. We meet every week, so if we are behind, we'll get caught back up, and we will be posting that too.
Mm. Okay. Great. So do we have any more questions related to the chaos board election? Right. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, then okay. And the next thing is about the new courses available from the Chaos Education Working Group. So if you are interested, you should check them out here on Moodle. And I believe that group is also looking for contributors to take on the future of open source part 2. So if that's something you have expertise in, or just really want to contribute in some other way, maybe writing scripts, you should definitely check out this issue. Um, yeah, Adrian, please take us away. You have some random thoughts. Just share.
Yep. So I just this was just some random thing I got distracted by last night, but I think in previous community calls, I think maybe I don't know if it was community calls or other conversations about the Chaos website, but it sounded like since we already pull a lot of information from the website, like a lot of the information in the WordPress site is pulled from GitHub anyway. And so I've been kind of playing with the idea for a little while of how, like, could we maybe just move the Chaos website so that it is just sort of a using more sort of static site generation tools. I know that's fairly in the realm of the website working group and stuff. I just mostly wanted to share that I posted a screenshot, I think yesterday in that channel on Slack, just of a super quick and dirty proof of concept that I threw together, where I basically grabbed the content from the WordPress site and was able to kind of get it to at least generate a okay looking site. It's very rough. I had AI fix the problems with it because I was doing it quickly and just trying to see if it would work. And so a lot of the pages still have a lot of like weird formatting in them from like tags that would be used for like WordPress things that need to be cleaned up, and a lot of like the styling probably needs a complete look at. But I just figured it'd be a good starting point for people to look at just to see, is this a direction that's worth putting more time into, um, and things like that. So I just wanted to raise that in case people were interested.
Yeah. Thanks, Beth.
You're on mute.
Uh,
Sorry. You'd think I'd know how Zoom works by now, but apparently I don't. Thank you, Adrian, for doing all that. That's really cool. I'm wondering two things, I guess. One is the formatting that you mentioned, like how much control over the look of the site would we have? Like for like images and headers and all that stuff and navigation and all of that.
So the way I'm sort of thinking about it is like, 'cause I have some experience previous summers. I've done internships with Fedora, and I did a lot of work on the Fedora website specifically for the Flock conference. And the way that they do it is kind of interesting in that, as Fedora, they've got essentially two repositories for their website. They've got one repository that's kind of the site, like it's fairly, probably fairly technical, like you kind of have to be a web developer to know it, but that's got all the sort of structure, all of the styling, all of that stuff that doesn't really change that much. And then there's a separate repository that's kind of got all the content, and it uses a system that I think is called decap CMS, where there's basically a giant YAML file in there that just defines a whole bunch of different, like, essentially UI fields, right? So hey, I want a small text box here, I want a long text box here, I want a markdown field here. And so it's basically this like sort of content management system that uses that configuration to sort of create a UI that lets people edit the content. And then the two of them kind of work together in the sense that like that YAML file defines, hey, this markdown field should be be saved with this name, and then the website, when it gets built, it'll pull that content and use that as the value in between this paragraph here, or even just this whole like, hey, we could just have the whole content block and then, oh, fill it in with markdown. um and I'm still working through a lot, so like that's not how this sort of proof of concept is set up, but it uses a static site generator that should be compatible with that kind of a CMS. um and I'm still trying to figure out too, like how we can kind of like not have to copy the content into that CMS, and have it be able to pull from, because we already have like the charter and things in other Git forms in Markdown. And so is there a way to kind of say, oh, this content should be pulled from this other place, and have the build process like pull that in?
Yeah.
Um,
Um, okay. Okay, that's fair. And then because so many of our metrics are based on like a URL that can't change, would we then just set up a like a redirect, or how would we handle that?
I believe a lot of these static site generation systems do let you have some control over what URLs pages end up at.
Okay.
I haven't gone too deeply into, because it seems
Yeah.
like we're using some kind of knowledge base plugin on the WordPress side
Yeah.
to do that. I haven't specifically, I think I have a copy of the data exported by that plugin. I haven't specifically figured out how to like adapt that to
Yeah.
like import that data into this static system or anything. Like this is all just a super, like, this took me a few hours last night. Like I
Yeah.
haven't gone that deep into it. I just figured, like, I was just kind of impressed by, like, I basically just I put all the content markdown files that got exported from WordPress into a repository, like, and basically just pointed like an AI tool at it and was like, hey, like this, I want this to be like a Hugo is the tool I was kind of playing with for the static site generation. And I was like, hey, like, I mean, I can get it to kind of build a site, but it's just like really janky, and like it's
Hmm.
just raw text. Like, here's a style sheet, can you kind of fix this? And I was actually quite impressed with how much it was, like how close it was able to get with basically just that to what the actual Chaos site looks like now. Um, but it's like it doesn't have a lot of the overhead of WordPress in terms of we've got like 15 plugins, all of them
Yeah.
have a different place to do a backup, or there's like three different ways to edit a page, and it's
Yeah.
like I feel like we can kind of reduce some of that. Like I feel like there's a lot of benefits that maybe are worth talking about, but I imagine that's probably more of a website working group type thing.
Yeah. Yes. The website working group is me right now. Like there's nobody in there. I think Kevin was active at one point, but he's, super busy. He's not really active in there anymore. So that would be something that we could build, like the group. If this is something that, the community wants to pursue, we would need to build a group bigger than just myself to work on that. There's also, I don't know if you know, Adrian, but there is a spreadsheet that maps all the pages to where the content lives. It does not include the metrics because the metrics all live in different spots. They're all in, different GitHub repos from the working groups that developed the metric originally is where that content lives. So it's spread out across the CHAOSS org. But there's a website or a spreadsheet that maps like where the content can be found for what page. So if that's helpful at all, I can certainly send that to you.
Actually, I did already see that.
Oh, great. Okay.
It doesn't. I was having some issues with basically what I did was I took a backup, like I grabbed a backup of the WordPress and I
Okay.
just ran it on my local computer just so I could install plugins and do things without breaking anything.
Got you.
And so I installed a plugin that would let me export all the pages as Markdown. Um, and that plugin was having some issues with our GitHub integration because it wasn't able to go fetch the GitHub or
Yeah.
whatever. So I was getting error messages for GitHub, like things were pulling from GitHub that didn't seem to be in that spreadsheet. And so I was kind of taking notes of that, but
Interesting.
um,
Yeah, I would be
we
interested
can
to see.
definitely keep talking about this. It
For
sounds
sure.
like this is maybe a useful kind of progression.
Yeah. Dawn has her hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I have a fair bit of experience with WordPress, and this is the most Frankensteiny WordPress instance I have seen in a very, very long time. It's evolved over many years, and I think some of the people who worked on it at one point maybe I think maybe they made questionable decisions in installing certain things. And so I would say that I would say to expect this to be a bigger problem than you think it is, and for it to take more time than you think it will. But I've also used static site generators, and I'm a huge fan. If we can do this in a way that doesn't break existing URLs, because people have linked to chaos resources from all over the web. And so we just need to be really careful not to break things. But I'm a big proponent of getting this out of that weird janky WordPress site that we have right now and into something that more people can contribute to. Because the reality is if we're putting everything in GitHub pages, it's going to be a whole lot easier for other people to contribute content, which I think is really important. So I'm a big fan. Adrian, it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
That's my only comment. You've seen the website too. You've seen the WordPress
Yeah.
instance. It's a mess.
Yeah, no, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up here, just to kind of say like, hey, interested in getting contributors to help. I think I actually in some of my other unrelated or tangentially related website related things, I recently set up there's some like proxy layers that are part of sort of how 8 Knot is hosted. And I was able to reuse those to host something else. And I was able to do it like at a subdirectory. So it was like instead of 8knot.osci.io, like going to all 8knot, if you did slash whatever, it would like anything you do under that slash whatever would go to a different place. And so I feel like there also could be room for potentially sort of more advanced routing of things like that, where like we have the main site, we sort of put that proxy layer in front of it just by default as like everything go to this place. And then as we like get the static site going, we can do it page by page, and then okay, the home page is ready. Let's redirect all requests to that to the new like it's still chaos.community, but we start kicking individual pages over as we check them as they're ready. Um, so then like if there's something super dynamic that's in WordPress that we don't have a solution for. Maybe like I can see there being hybrids. I don't think that might not be the way to do it, but I definitely think it's possible. I think it's just putting in the time, putting in like actually trying to be thorough about doing every page.
Callie,
Yeah,
you had your hand up.
Kelly,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna type it. I just think that this is definitely a good thing to advertise wanting helper contributors for. And I was even thinking about it that I don't even know. It seems like there's people that come in that want to contribute, but then it's like, okay, what is like a good or easy thing to bite into, which I think is something like this. Um, I just don't know the right place to advertise besides just saying like, hey, here's on general. But it feels like there's like ships passing in the night when it comes to people who are looking to contribute to something that maybe is not as like interrelated with other stuff. Like I feel like web dev, it's like it's not like you're dealing with like like Augur is like a huge like you have like all the different layers to it or eight knot or trying to start on a research project versus like hey if we have a scoped out task, um, trying to get capitalize on some of the contributors that are looking for things.
Yeah, and to that point, that is such a good point that like we have had people who tried or wanted to contribute to the website to make it better, and because of the way that access is set up, like it's either kind of all or nothing in a way. So it's been kind of tricky, and they would have to know WordPress, and they would have to also be thrown into the spaghetti mess that it is right now. And so, like, yeah, I completely agree on all those points that those contributors have come and gone and trying to maybe call them back or at least make it a thing. And especially to your point, Callie, if we had a plan in place and we had specific tasks that needed to happen to make that plan happen, then yeah, I mean, that would be so great. So great. Even if like by like Hacktoberfest or something like that, which would be an excuse, to bring people in. I mean, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.
Right.
Adrian, sorry, I had one more question for you about this. So I think what I heard you say was that your like the WordPress as it is, we could just set up redirects for different pages as we transition them over. Is that what you were saying?
Sort of. So I don't, that wouldn't, my picture of how that would work wouldn't necessarily be at the WordPress level. Like I know we can do redirects in WordPress currently and do use those. Um, I think what I was suggesting was more basically put a layer of sort of routing logic essentially between requests coming into chaos.community and WordPress so that like we can just have the initial configuration be forward everything to the blog. So it would still basically make the site work as it does. And then maybe we can start doing it in pieces and we can maybe say take the like chaos.community slash like the meeting the redirect that goes to the meeting minutes and move it up to that level of the logic. And then maybe we can like we migrate like just a very content only page like the charter and then have any requests to whatever that URL is like oh I mean you'd have to get the other site up first and maybe have the styling match pretty closely. But I think yeah that having that kind of sort of decision logic there would help us kind of have there be a as long as we needed to transition time where both WordPress and the static generated site are kind of live at the same time.
Hmm.
And then as we move a page over, like as we move that redirect over or whatever, you could delete it from WordPress. And so the WordPress would slowly get kind of smaller and smaller and smaller as things get moved over and organized and in the static site generator.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. I was also thinking about the accessibility part. I know at one point we had a website audit happening, and I think so part of that happened, and there were a lot of issues that came up during that audit that we were limited to from the WordPress theme and from the WordPress side. So if there would be a way to also improve our or take, address some of those issues that came up during that audit, maybe even require, maybe it requires a whole new audit. I don't know where in the process that was, but that would also be something very interesting to me personally, is to have that be completely addressed, like all of those issues addressed if we could. That'd be great.
Yeah, that does sound like something that would be fairly likely. I think accessibility was something that I was kind of thinking about too when I was working on the Fedora website, that they use like a different statics tool, but similar concept. I think, yeah, that would be like, I think that using a static site generator like this would basically give us as much control as just writing the HTML from scratch.
Yeah.
But I think we'd still kind of make it somewhat easy to edit, in that you'd maybe have that separation between, okay, if you're a contributor looking for the site, do you want to go deep into the code of the theme and making that button
Yeah.
like adding the alt text to that? Or do you want to just go on the content side and just be able to make simple changes to the content, and then like you change what the alt text actually says, versus like making sure that the HTML is there to define
Right.
that, right? So I think it's
Yeah.
kind of helps people decide maybe what fits their skills better, I think.
Yeah, that's a really great point, because like right now, if you want to change a font on the website, it's like it's buried. Like you got to know where you're looking, and good luck even trying to find the thing. Even if you find what you think you found, you might not have found it. It's not easy, not as easy as it seems like it should be, for sure. And to your point, if we had them separated, front, because there we have, front end folks come all the time to CHAOSS looking for things to work on, wanting to help me, make things look better, and just to be able to point them to a separate repo or a separate section would be, I mean, that would be great too, right? Like that would be amazing. So it kind of seems like I'm fully, like, to Don's point, I'm fully in support of this idea. But yeah, it's going to be a thing. It would be a pretty big effort.
Yeah, I'm worried that I might be setting myself up for too many side projects, because I already maintain like several repositories in Chaos alone.
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, maybe the first step is to try and attract folks to the web, like revive that website working group, and start to have some of these conversations, start those meetings again, because we don't have meetings, we don't have anything with that. So maybe that's a first step. I don't know, just thought.
Yeah. Okay, great. I don't think we have any more questions for Ajay. But I think I also wanted to mention that the Chaos Africa have the software dev working group. So if you want like a group to collaborate with on this, I like to think that that group will be happy to like work with you on this effort. So, yeah, and yeah, if you've got any plans put together and you wanted like the community management working group to like socialize that idea more, like just let me or Elizabeth know, and we can definitely help.
yeah, sounds good. I don't know when I'm gonna get time to like make a proposal or anything, but yeah, I'm down for people to collab.
Great. Right. So yeah, and the last reminder we have here is the CFP deadline for all things open. I think that's closing today, March 31st. So if folks wanted to like put in some top proposal about chaos, community health, metrics, whatever interests you, then yeah, it's today. Okay. Any more conversations? Oh yeah, one last thing I think should have started with that would be the facilitator for the next meeting. Who would like to volunteer to help us facilitate the call next week? Anyone? Um, okay. I
Would
would
we be able to do the spreadsheet? Because like I'm not somebody like I will never volunteer in this faction. I'll just put it out like where it's like what's next week because I'm somebody who wants to like look at my schedule, figure things out before I agree to something. So I think that others are probably similar.
I'm gonna do that
Yeah,
right
I
now,
think we had a
actually. Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Oh,
Right.
okay. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, I would just put my name down here pending when we have that out in the community and people start filling in their availability. Sounds good. Okay, so I'll stop sharing now. And yeah, I think that's all for today. It's great to see everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. All right.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody.